Welcome to Mainland, your local regional television station. I'm Graham O'Brien, and some of the stories coming up in today's news. The Motueka Wharf 100-year history book launched. NRL teams arrive in Nelson. Aroa campaign highlights dock funding and more. The deadline day of Tuesday 4 p.m. has been reached for all those putting in tenders to buy the privately owned Aroa Inlet block of land up for sale in the Abel Tasman National Park. The intention of this crowd-funded tender is to enable an organisation such as DOC to run and maintain the property for public use and enjoyment. But what could that mean for DOC? Chrissy Small reports.
The crowdfunding Araroa beach buying campaign that ended up with over 39,000 pledges is showing up a DOC funding crisis, according to the Federated Mountain Clubs of New Zealand. FMC President Robin McNeill is elated that the New Zealanders have reached into their pockets to buy a piece of land for addition to the Abel Tasman National Park, and shows how much New Zealanders care about conservation, freedom of access and our network of national parks and great walks. He said, however, that DOC was unable to purchase the piece of land due to funding constraints, receiving a mere $315 million from the government to run 1/3 of New Zealand, which McNeill said works out to be around $35 for every rugby field worth of land area. This means that DOC is left with $260 to control pests, maintain tracks and provide facilities to this new piece of national park every year. The government has said tourism is booming, overtaking dairy as our #1 export income earner. However, doesn't this leave DOC well overdue for a raise so it can continue to protect our special places like Araroa Beach? FMC hopes that the owners of the property accept the tender offer from New Zealanders for the purchase of the property, and that DOC can afford to accept it as an addition to the Abel Tasman National Park for future generations to enjoy.
We'll be talking to one of the two men who created the Give a Little campaign for the latest update on this biggest and fastest ever public fundraising campaign. Nelson is to host its first NRL match and hopefully the first of many more to come. The game between the Warriors and the Illawarra St George Dragons is this weekend on Saturday the 20th. We were at the airport when the Sydney team arrived on Monday afternoon.
Yeah, it is. It's always great to come to these new places. It's something about pre-season and also our game is being able to share it in new areas is always exciting, and I know there's a few of the Kiwi boys here that have been to Nelson before, but a lot that happened, so I'm sure they're all looking forward to the experience.
The team was busy trying out the field conditions when we went to Trafalgar Park grounds on Tuesday morning. And we noticed that many of the Sydney team were Kiwis, including Benji Marshall, who is a former captain of the New Zealand League team. Both teams should be fielding near full-strength lineups in Saturday's match, as this is the last tryout game before the official competition kicks off. Victory Community Centre has recently been facing a shortfall of $60,000. So in a reversal of roles, the centre asked the community for help. And while the community was digging deep, donating over $11,000, the Nelson Marlborough West Coast Methodist Synod came to the funding party with $50,000 donation. I spoke to the director of Victory Centre, Kendra Douglas, about the fundraising efforts.
Kendra, you've got to be pretty happy. You set up a Give a Little page, which was off to a great start, and then all of a sudden you've got this big injection. You're away again until the next funding round. Tell us how you feel.
Oh look, this whole process has just been quite magic. We went out with a Give a Little page in maybe October, and just straight away, the media has really helped us to get the word out right into every single household around Nelson. The Give a Little page started flowing, and then people rang us up and said, can we do some regular donations? And it's kind of like, oh my God, there are people out there who do really love us that are just beyond Victory. And some people said, we don't want to go via Give a Little, we want to just go direct to you, we'll set up a little automatic payment. It's like, oh my God. So straight away, we just got this sense of a lift, and it's like, oh my God, this is going to happen, we're going to be okay. One of the letters I sent out to our funders included the local Methodists, and immediately, within 2 or 3 days, they'd rung up and saying, come and have a meeting with us. We need to write a proposal to our Christchurch office, because that's where all the funding is, the larger funding is held. We'll write write a support letter, and within 2 weeks there was a phone call from them saying, what's going on, tell me about who you are and what you're doing. And so I made the links, that we've had with the Methodist Church and St John's locally, right back since 1991, when benefit cuts started affecting our community. And Wallace Chapman, the current Wallace Chapman's father, was a very strong advocate for social wellbeing and community action, and they really get social justice. So suddenly, we get this cheque in the mail, which is kind of like, oh my God, So by Christmas, I knew, but we wanted to keep the pressure on because we were still waiting for our other funders to kind of show their support. And so actually, between all of it, we got to our goal, before the due date of mid-Jan.
Wow, nice. And it must be a great feeling that with all the work that you put into the community, when you ask for the community to give back to that work, you get it straight away.
That's what was wonderful. And there was a woman came in literally on the last day of our work, on the 19th of December, and she said, I just wanted to make sure you've got the money. I wanted to get a receipt. And she said, you do know, and you need to get that word out that everybody who makes a donation, the government will refund 1/3 of it. And a lot of people don't know that. So we're happy to give receipts, and if the government ends up paying indirectly part of it, then so much the better, because that's been our battle, is constantly reducing government funding and also changing cycles of funding. So we're through the pothole, but actually it's only a small portion of what it takes to run this place.
And even though you say it took 2 weeks for the letter to be written and for them to get an answer, I mean, it seems like a long time maybe, but in fact it's a very small time for the wheels to turn.
Given a lot of the funding applications we do are often months away, so you might apply in July, we'd commonly not hear until October, November, and even then the money might not be in the bank till December. So you keep working for 6 months, and this funding finally comes through, but you're halfway through what you were hoping to do with it. So it's a game, and it's just that we're constantly in these cycles of change and dynamics of government and other philanthropics that support us. But to put the word out, and someone said, unless you tell us, we won't know. So that's where the likes of Mainland and the print media's really supported us to get that message out.
Thanks very much, and congratulations, and we'd like to see the rest of the good work to keep going on in Victory and in Nelson.
It will. And the other thing that's come out of this is that we've got a team of fundraisers, and in fact I'm meeting 2 of them who are going to start with a project, and we're going to probably be calling on you to help promote that. I won't give any clues at the moment, but we think it's going to be a world-class event. Yeah. So yeah, I'll tantalise your viewers with that.
Great, thanks. And you said before, the reduced funding. I mean, funding has always been reduced. I mean, since you've started, has it ever increased?
I'm sorry to say, but with this current government, no. It's a constantly eroding environment. They don't seem to value, they seem to expect communities just to volunteer, to support, to do it for nothing. And I don't know where all the money goes, but, I don't agree with a lot of the current government priorities, and I think it's severely put a lot of severe stress on all sorts of community organisations. They've had to move out of buildings, they've had to reshape their whole organisations, they've had to put off staff. I use that adage of it, you can cut a forest down in a few weeks at most, even overnight sometimes, but it takes another whole generation to grow it again. And so they're placing us at risk all the time.
I also caught up with the unsung heroes of the day, the Methodists, and speaking for St John's in the City was Reverend David Pulteney, Parish Minister, and Brian Kendrick, Parish Steward.
David, why did the Methodist Church feel that they would help out the Victory Centre in their hour of need?
Victory Centre is something we've been involved with really from the beginning. We feel that this is a central institution in the life of Nelson, especially working with and for some of the most vulnerable and at-risk people in our community, and we would hate to see that tend to an end. So really we felt that it was important to help as best we could, so we were pleased to do this.
Fantastic. And it's quite interesting that from 2002 Wellbeing Survey, which the Methodists funded, the Victory Community Centre came into being.
Well, yes, that's right. It actually started before that. It started in the time of the Minister Wallace Chapman, who served here from 1980 to 1992. And when the 1984 budget came in and it made life much harder for the already difficult situations for the poor, he realised that the poor in Nelson were really hurting. And he decided he would get out onto the streets and find out what life was really like for them. He knocked on 280 doors. He met the people who were hurting, and he decided something had to happen. And that's what led to this 2002 event. That was how it started.
Wow. And it's a fantastic reading in that the Victory Church, Victory Community Centre came from that. But unfortunately, a lot of those conditions that they talk about there are still prevalent today, and even more so.
Well, yes, that's right. Every time some funding that gets cut for social services, people hurt. And we could talk about examples, but that's not the reason for us being here. We know people hurt.
And so the church came out, put the money down, helped them out of this time, and continue that great relationship together.
Yeah, it continues that relationship. It doesn't commit us to doing this in this way again, but we want to have a good and close relationship with the Victory Centre over time. We see them as important partners in our values and vision.
Yes, Brian.
Yes, something else that's come out of this, of course, is that the community also responded to Victory's appeal.
Yeah.
And not only did they raise the necessary funds, but they've got a team together that's devoted to fundraising from now on. So this was just the bridge.
Yeah.
It worked well.
Yeah, there was something that gave them a little bit of a push, and now they've gone into a whole different area now of creating their own funding streams.
Their whole demeanour has changed from one of being almost at the verge of feeling hopeless to one of being absolutely thrilled about the shape of their future.
This week we reported on a 3-car collision that took place on Monday down Waimea Road, only to discover another on Rutherford Street in the city later that afternoon. With 2 of these accidents taking place only hours apart, Chrissy Small spoke to one panel beater to see if there's been a noticeable increase in vehicle accidents for this time of the year and what kinds of vehicle damage they're seeing coming into their workshops.
Now, it's been a busy season. We know that as far as accidents go, we just had one outside our premises a couple of days ago. There was another one down on Rutherford Street. As someone at the coal face or at the bottom of the cliff as far as accidents go, how are you finding the season so far? Has it been busy?
It's definitely been a busy start, definitely through Christmas.
Right, and what kind of accidents or damages are you seeing coming in with vehicles?
Not large accidents, more minor.
Right.
Most of the tails, minor, bollard, damage and stuff.
Okay, so, and is there a particular age group that you're seeing coming in with these kinds of damages, or is it fairly widespread?
Pretty widespread, really. I mean, you're getting a lot more car park damage, stuff like that, because they're so small. People just backing into each other and hitting cars without notifying the owner and taking off. And
right, so there's a bit of dishonesty going on in the car parks around the area, you reckon?
a wee bit of that. It's probably because there's quite a few uninsured people out there still.
Right, and so I notice myself, I've got my pride and joy is my car, and I come out from the supermarket and find that someone's whacked their car door into it, and of course it dents my car. And what's the cost of getting a dent out of a car door these days?
Oh, it ranges. I mean, for starters, you're going to have to make an insurance claim, aren't you? So there's your excess to be paid on top. So you're out of pocket. It could range from $500 to $3,000, depending what sort of vehicle you got and what sort of door you've got to replace or repair, So it does range quite a bit. That's why, it pays to have insurance.
Right, okay. So, okay, so at the moment, are you a busy little business with the damages coming through your doors?
We are quite flat out, yeah, definitely.
Do you have a waiting list of customers waiting to get in?
We do have a waiting list. yes.
Right. Do you know if you're the only one in town that
I
has
believe most of them are pretty busy at the moment. Yeah.
Right, okay. So really the message is out there, people, if you're going to crash your cars, be prepared to wait. In other words, don't crash your cars.
Well, when you say a wait, it's not a big wait. I mean, it might only be a week or 2 weeks sort of thing. But generally the wait consists of what sort of vehicle you've got and what parts are involved. If you've got a late model European car or some, you might be waiting for parts from overseas, or this is the trouble. Sometimes the old panel beater's stuck in the middle half the time because they're waiting for the parts.
Right.
So they can start the job. So that can consist of a bit of a wait. So, but yeah, I mean, all the paint and panel shops around Nelson will generally do everything they can to get back on the road.
In the old days, there used to be things like dollies and all sorts of things used to panel beat cars out, and you'd beat the metal and then you'd shrink it with heat and all that sort of thing. So do you still do that kind of thing these days?
Yeah, we still do a lot of that, but most days it's not economical to repair that panel, and most of it's a bolt-on part these days. So it's a lot economical to replace that part, especially with insurance jobs and so forth. It all comes down to the time and expense to do that job.
Right. So kind of the old way of panel beating's been replaced by just replacing it.
It is slowly. I mean, we are a dying breed as far as metal finishes and so forth go. But
yeah. So panel beating, probably you'll have to change your name to part replacement.
yeah, well, there's still a few of us in the trade that know what we're doing. So as far as that goes. So.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Because
I'm working on the old stuff when we do get one.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, look, thank you for talking to us today.
I spoke to Rob Parks, owner of Nelson Tow and Salvage, who was the first to pick up the metal carnage that comes from some of these more serious accidents on our roads.
Rob, you got some pretty scary looking dings and dents in here. You must shake your head when you pick some of these up.
Yes, most definitely. It's pretty scary to see what we've actually pulled out. People down banks and that, and they're wondering how the hell they actually got out of it, with the roof all caved in and everything, and all they got is probably bruises and scratches.
Yeah, so it's changed from the old days when the cars didn't have a dent on them and the people were all messed up, isn't it?
Yes, dead right.
Do you think you can make a general statement on what you reckon causes most of these accidents?
Well, we see it all, but basically what we've seen this year is we've had a very good influx of tourists around, and we've noticed it on the roads ourselves.
Sure. And what sort of mistakes are they making that you're seeing?
Basically, they're not used to New Zealand roads. They're going around the corners too fast. Not to use going up and down hills, and some of them are very slow or too fast.
Yeah. And have you got many off our roundabouts or anything like that?
Yes, the roundabouts is pretty shocking around Nelson. There's a lot of them, and people don't know what to do with them.
And you think it's a general statement for tourists, or how about Nelson drivers? You must see a lot on the road.
Yes. Nelson drivers are pretty bad. The main concern on Nelson drivers is indicating. They're not using their indicator very well.
Sure, I've got to agree with you there.
Yeah.
A history book containing images and stories of 100 years of Motueka Wharf was launched at Port Motueka on Sunday as part of the celebration of the wharf's centenary, which was planned and commissioned by the Motueka and Districts Historical Association. Author Carol Dorbar was in Motueka to launch her latest book, Motueka Wharf 100 Years, to a crowd of over 100 people. Chrissy Small caught up with Carol just before the book launch ceremony.
I'm here with author Carol Dorbar. Now, she's, of course, a well-accomplished author and lives in Picton, but she's come out to Motueka today to launch her latest book. Now, it's been a great turnout today. We've got lots and lots of people here of all generations. you must be really pleased with how it's going today and also the book.
I'm really pleased about it. The book has got the Motueka and Districts Historical Association's name also on the cover. They're effectively co-authors. They commissioned me to put this together. They did the work and the research, and this is really their day and their book launch, and I'm very, very proud to be the person who's leading it and being in front of it. And I'm really delighted to see all the people, because we forget now that how central this wharf was to everybody's lives here. It was central to the whole community. The orchardists, the carriers, the people who worked on the boats, the people who worked in the timber mills, the wharf and the tides were central. And I think everybody here probably, certainly the ones I've been talking to, has some association with the sea and by definition with the Motueka Wharf. So I'm really delighted everybody's come to celebrate the book. It's 100 years exactly today since this wharf was officially opened, and so that was why it's really important to have this turnout today, and the sun's done us proud and the tide's in.
Oh, look, Carol, it's a great day, and honestly, 100 years today, fantastic. And look, the images, can you tell me a bit about where you've managed to grab all those images from?
Most of them have come from the Motueka and Districts Historical Society Association, I beg your pardon, archives. They've been collecting historical photos for a number of years. They've also canvassed the district pretty thoroughly. They put some articles in the newspaper. They've been ringing around and following up leads, and in fact a lot of these photos have come from private albums and family collections. Some of them aren't very brilliant in quality. The photos, like the people, have done a long and hard journey, but it's the story they tell that's really important.
That's right, what a great documentation of the history. And of course, Port Motueka is still the hub of commerce here in Motueka and the district. So I'm sure in another 100 years there'll be someone doing a similar kind of book, I would imagine.
I certainly hope so. People find history a bit tedious sometimes, but it's really important to record it and to record people's stories and memories. It's something I really love doing.
Now, Carol, where can we find copies of your book?
It's available in all the good bookshops around the place. It's available on my River Press website, and it's available from the Motueka and Districts Historical Association themselves.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We leave you now with a song composed especially for the launch.
There was produce for overseas markets, picked fruits and berries of every
After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220? And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979? So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
Welcome to Smugglers Pub and Cafe, open 7 days a week with free parking all day. Our lunch menus have that fat old-fashioned flavour where we treat you like treasure with the food you'll savour.
We cater for children, grannies and granddads too, with special rates and privileges given to the elderly lunchtime crew. Our staff are friendly and kind and want to see you all come back time after time.
Daytime or evening, it doesn't matter. Give us a call on 546 4084 and we'll be happy to spoil ya.
We're the team at JCar, right here in Nelson, 120 Hardy Street. Our shop is full of electronic items,
including security alarm systems, electronic components,
solar and power,
electronics toys,
sound systems, cables, and much, much more.
JCar. 120 Hardy Street, Nelson.
World War I was a defining period in our history, impacting greatly on the lives of people from the Nelson province. Memories of the First World War is an exhibition which will be displayed in a number of regional venues and is currently on at the Nelson Provincial Museum.
Sit and Be Fit is on at the Victory Community Centre Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. at the Victory Community Church, 238 Upper Vanguard Street. School terms only. Fun while you get fitter, work at your level. For more information, please contact Shirley on 547 1433 or 021 121 8023.
Victory 60 Plus is on Tuesdays at 1:30 through to 3:30 p.m. at 238 Upper Vanguard Street. You can join in for cards, games and a cuppa.
On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thank you for joining us, and we'll bring you the latest news and events from around the region again tomorrow.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
Are you looking for a scooter, walker, wheelchair, baby seats or pushchairs? Then come in and see the Nelson Region Specialist at Mobility for You, 269 Queen Street, Richmond, opposite the library. We have a huge selection of scooters, walkers, wheelchairs and accessories, along with a free booklet guide. We also provide a breakdown service if you ever get a puncture or a flat battery. We have fully equipped service vans to rescue you. Hi, I'm Robin Jordan and I invite you to call in and see the friendly team at Mobility for You, 269 Queen Street, Richmond, opposite the library.